no secret that the APC United Late Model Series has kind of taken over short track racing in Ontario, at least on the pavement side. It's kind of drawn the best of the best from the pro late model world, from the limited late model world. You got super late model guys and task car guys that are coming out and fielding these cars now. And one driver I got on the line right now has fully now made the jump over from weekly limited late model competition to touring on the APC series full time. It's none other than the New Age Punisher, Jason Parker. Jason, I appreciate the time, my man. I know you're an incredibly busy man, but thank you for taking the time out from selling boilers and taking care of your whole private farm up there to have a chat with me.
Yeah, no problem, Spencer. It's nice talking to you.
Now, 2016 is like right around the corner, and I understand that we just had like gigantic snowstorms, so that makes it seem like it's a little bit further away than it actually is. But we'll be practicing in no time, and from what I understand, when practice day rolls around, you will not be behind the wheel of a limited late model for the first time in over a decade. You will be behind the wheel of a full-fledged pro late model. Tell me a little bit about your changes for this year.
Yeah, we got rid of the limited late model car and built a new McCall pro late model straight rail chassis to gear up for the APC series. So I'm pretty excited about that, and we're real close to completion on that car. So we'll be in good shape for practice, and really looking forward to it.
Now, hopping in a straight rail car seems to be the natural progression for anyone on the APC tour that didn't already have one of those chassis. Was it just impossible to win without one of those cars, or is it going to be impossible to win sort of moving forward once the tour really starts to hit maturity?
Well, I don't know that it's impossible to win in a perimeter car, but I mean, obviously talking with Luke, the series is moving in that direction to be a straight rail strut rod type car. So I mean, we're at a position where, you know, if we're going to go serious at this APC series, we got to have the best equipment we can, because the competition is just super competitive. And, you know, if you're not taking the best there, you know, you're going to have a hard time.
You were one of the first guys to really commit to the tour. I mean, when it first came out, you showed interest, and I mean, right away you put your money where your mouth was. You said, yeah, I'm running the full tour, and you backed that up every step of the way. What was so appealing about the tour, and did it end up delivering to everything you had hoped it would be?
Yes, it has been everything I was looking for. It's a touring series has always been something I was interested in. You know, you develop friendships at other racetracks, and it's nice to go to other racetracks and mix things up a little. So when Luke brought out this series, you know, he talked highly of it, and you knew it was going to be well run, and it was exciting. So, you know, right from the beginning, we were right into it, because that's really what my team and my family is comfortable with right now, and I see it working even better this year with only running the APC series and not a full Sauble schedule as well.
Now, you and I have done interviews in the past where it almost seemed like there was a doomsday clock on your racing career, when it was, you know, it was, maybe we got 3 more seasons left in us. Maybe we'll do this for another 2 years. But it always seemed like while you were enjoying racing, while you were winning a lot of races and championships, you always had that end date in your mind because of your daughters, because of your growing business. I mean, all for positive reasons. Has this tour and its abbreviated schedule saved you from early retirement from racing?
I think it maybe has in some respects. I mean, we couldn't keep running, you know, 18 or 20 nights a year. It wasn't an option. You know, it doesn't matter if you're running a 25-lap feature on a Saturday night. It still takes the full day Saturday to do that. So, you know, with my family and my business and our farm and everything else coming to where it is right now, I just didn't have the time to do that every week. And even my crew that's been with me for years, you know, they're around my age. They've got kids now too, and it's just, you know, 4 nights in the shop and all day Saturday is not an option anymore.
How cool is it that, I mean, you've adopted some newer team members along the way, but your core guys have been the same as long as I've known you. I don't know if you had them in the street stock days, but I think as long as you've been racing late model, you pretty much had the same right hand men at your side. I mean, how cool is it that you guys have just been able to kind of stick together and stay as a group all the way through when you started this whole late model deal to becoming a champion at Sauble?
Yeah. I mean, Kevin and Adam, they've been with me pretty much since the beginning of my late model career. I mean, maybe there was a year or two in there when I was with my Uncle Vernon and stuff in the beginning, but Kevin jumped on and Adam right from the, God, I can't even remember, maybe 06, so probably 10 years. And, we were friends before we were teammates, and that helps because, we try to make racing as fun as you can because it's a lot of money and it's a lot of time. So if you're not enjoying it, it's pretty hard to keep asking these guys to do it. So we do everything we can to make sure it's fun.
I find that Kevin Virtue kind of balances you out because he's so calm, he's so relaxed, he's very even keel because you're a pretty passionate guy. When things are good with you, they're really good, and you're the most fun dude in the world to be around. And when they're bad, you just get that intensity and that fire coming out of you that you need someone that's the complete opposite to kind of anchor you when you're at the racetrack.
Oh, he's definitely been around to pull the leash a couple times. Like you said, let's just call it passionate. I don't know if that's the word everyone would use, but yeah, I get fired up. So yeah, having a guy like Kevin there to keep me straight isn't a bad thing.
I want to get your opinion on the new Sauble schedule because I've heard both on the record and off the record from a couple of different drivers. Some guys love it, some guys hate it. I just want to get an honest answer from you, and I figure since you're sort of removed from it now, you're no longer a full-time Sauble regular, you'll give me as honest an answer as I'm going to get from anyone. Sauble has gone from, I guess, a 16-race schedule a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, to now it's all the way down to, I believe, 5 late model races in total up at the beach, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that's a dramatic change in a relatively short amount of time. Obviously, it was a business move on behalf of Jason Tom, but what is your opinion on it? Can a speedway sustain itself only running a headline division a handful of times over the course of a summer?
Well, he's definitely condensed the year. I mean, the numbers at Sauble have been dwindling over the last couple of years. We had 6 years ago we had a 20-car late model field. Last year was down to 12 or so. So, car count is an issue, and a lot of drivers say the dwindling car count is due to cost. Well, the cost comes from, tires for 20 nights and fuel for 20 nights, admission for 20 nights. So, I don't think it's a bad idea or thought to try to run less nights because it cuts all those costs down. The car cost is going to be the same. You got to have the car regardless. So if you can cut down on the tire cost, the fuel cost, admission cost, hopefully that can make it more appealing to some guys trying to run. Maybe there's guys like me out there that they can't run 20 nights or won't commit to 20 nights. Maybe this is going to be right what they're looking for. That's my opinion on it. Like, I think the fewer nights maybe would bring a few guys back out, but then there's other guys saying that that's not what they want. I mean, Jason Tom has made this a business decision, and we got to back him with that because he's the guy that stands behind the cash register, and he's got to make this decision. So he's done that, and I hope the best.
Oh, I'm with you all the way there. I mean, it's everything for a guy to go on Facebook and offer up his opinion when it doesn't cost him a dime. It's not our chips on the felt. We're not the ones playing with real money here, so I understand it. I mean, Sauble can only draw fans during the summer months. I get that. It's a very limited amount of time for them to make money. So the condensed schedule makes sense as far as in that regard. But let me ask you another question. Do you feel as though this might, in the relative short term, contribute to the extinction of the limited late model division? Because when you think about it, Delaware doesn't run them. Flamborough doesn't run them. Sauble now only runs them a handful of times. We've lost Barrie. We've lost Mosport. We've lost Kawartha. So now you only have Peterborough and Sunset running limited late models on a full-time basis, and Peterborough doesn't even really run them because they're stuck in this middle. Some cars run a 602. Some cars run a 603. They got ACT cars mixed in with limited late models. So it's not even really a true limited late model division, which leaves Sunset alone as a full-time limited late model speedway. Does this mean that it's only a matter of time before pro late models are sort of the car that kind of takes over, that everyone starts running?
Well, I've never thought of it the way you just said it, Spencer. And 5 years ago, I would have told you there's no way. I would have told you the Pro late models were the class that were dying out. They only had a handful of cars at Flamborough and a handful at Delaware, and Sauble was thriving, Barrie, Sunset, Peterborough, Varney. There was tons of limited late models, and I honestly can't believe the change in 3 to 4 years. How the limited late models have dropped the way they have, and now there's kind of a resurgence of the Pro late models. There's no doubt that what APC has done, bringing this series, has brought the Pro late models back to life. What I think is that series has brought that series back to life. Whether it had been a Pro late model series or a limited late model series, that series would be what it is right now. Their decision to go Pro late model is the reason why the Pro late models are thriving, and maybe the limited late models are hurting a bit.
I mean, I think it's incredible that even this time 2 years ago, you couldn't give a Pro late model away. I mean, you asked Sean Chenoweth, he had a Pro late model for sale. I can't tell you how much it was. It was well below what market value is now, and no one was even calling about it. Nobody wanted them. You couldn't give them away. People were just sort of sitting around waiting for the division to die out. And you're absolutely right. This series comes along, and all of a sudden, you got a guy who's a phenomenal businessman in Mr. Ramsey. You get a guy that knows how to promote, that can carry himself like a professional, and all of a sudden, the whole province is turned on its ear because now everyone's in a mad dash to get in the Pro late model and go on tour. I mean, I don't think anyone saw this coming 2 years ago.
No. I mean, there was, before there was any talk of this APC series, no one would have thought that. There was really no bright future for the Pro late models until there was an announcement made about this racing series, and then it just went crazy. And I mean, everything they've done, right from the cars to the tracks, all coming on board, and title sponsors, all everything is great there. It's an expensive series to run. There's no doubt about that. So I hope that doesn't overtake everybody and start hurting the car count there as well. But at this point, it's a great series. It's drawing more than full car counts every night. So the tracks are on board, the sponsors are on board, and the drivers love showing up to an event when the pits are full, and it's big competition.
Now, as both an elite level late model competitor and a small business owner, I'm thinking you probably have one eye on the exchange rate at all times, both in your professional life and in your personal life. So this year, APC Tour going to a Spec fuel, and then the cost of tires they've always been expensive, but now with the cost of the dollar, or rather the rate of the dollar, it's going to get worse. Is this just like Chicken Little sky is falling type stuff when you hear the murmurs that this might hurt the tour in the long run? Or is there a chance that car counts could take a hit with the cost of the tires because of the exchange rate and the cost of the Spec fuel?
Well, it definitely hurts, Spencer. Like, you're looking at $250 to $350 probably an event for fuel, and then at least one set, if not two sets of tires. So, with those costs plus admission and trailer fuel and the whole deal, these races become very expensive. And, the sponsors and Luke have done everything they can to make the payouts help with those costs as much as they can. But, anyone who races knows that you're not even going to cover your costs. So somehow you got to cover those costs, whether it be sponsors on the car or out of your pocket. So, whenever the numbers don't jive, that's when it's going to start hurting the car count.
Now, the Spec fuel, it felt at the drivers' meeting that it was very well received, that the drivers and teams alike were in favor of the Spec fuel. They were happy with the Spec fuel. Was this brought in because there were guys kind of going in there and playing chemist a little bit with their fuel and trying to get the absolute most out of it and really starting to push the envelope a little bit? Had you seen that? Had you heard that? Were there any talks of that last season?
Well, that's exactly the reason for it. The problem we all have is, as drivers, we want everything to be as cheap as possible, but any driver out there will be the first one to pay $5 more than the other guy if his car's going to be faster. So that just becomes a snowball effect, and then you end up with $4 a liter fuel. Like, these cars can run and race on pump fuel right now. We could be buying fuel for $1 a liter, but because of exactly what you said, everyone's stretching it to the limit and finding new ways to get faster. That's why we're at $4 plus a liter. If there was a way to run a lesser fuel and make sure everyone was running that exact fuel, that would definitely help in cost, but I don't know the answer to that. It sounds like maybe the spec fuel with some marker in it is going to hopefully go down that road, but I don't know. It would be great to cut the cost down, but you have to know. I guess any driver has to know you're equal to the guy that you're racing against, or you maybe hope you're a little better. But if you feel like you're giving up something to him, then that's not good.
It seems like any time in racing, whether it's at the weekly level, whether it's the national level, or a sort of high-level touring series like the APC series, which is kind of in between the two, anytime you get into something about cost, whether it's a body rule or something performance-related, tires, fuel, once a decision is made like this to bring in a spec fuel, it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle. For us the APC series, implementing a spec fuel, does this mean that the days of pump gas are dead and gone? I mean, are we now so far past that we can never go back?
There's nothing saying you can't go back. I guess really what would the cost be to switch from this spec fuel back to another fuel? I guess really virtually nothing. I mean, it's when you start changing stuff like, we went to this straight rail chassis. Obviously, you can't progress back to a perimeter chassis because all the cars are built. But as far as swapping fuel or swapping to a different tire, that's a fairly easy transition from what we're on now back to something different. I mean, I guess it would just have to be appealing enough to make that transition back.
I remember at the Autumn Colors Classic 2014, I want to say, you and I sat in Tom Walter's camper trailer with Dwayne Baker and Tom, and we did a bench racing episode, and one of the big cruxes of your argument about what's wrong with Ontario racing was that the promoters didn't have an open line of communication with the drivers. They weren't giving them the biggest shows. They weren't giving them payouts that even came close to covering the amount of cost it takes to get one of these cars to the racetrack. You spoke about high dollar payouts and big pro late model shows. To go back and watch it now, it's surreal because you were talking about the APC series before the APC series was even a brainchild. No one had even thought about it yet, and that's exactly what you were suggesting. When you see the way that Luke Ramsey runs the APC Tour, do you feel as though that's everything you had spoke about 2 years ago, that you have that sort of open line of communication to a promoter and a promoter and chairman that has your best needs in mind?
Yeah, I do. I mean, like you said, Luke's a businessman, first off, a car owner second off, and obviously just loves racing to do what he's doing. I mean, I think he probably barely gets a pat on the back for what he does. So he's not doing it for any other reason than his love of racing. And I think he's a very open-minded guy and easy to talk to. Now, everyone thinks that their opinion is the best opinion, but he's got to take 40 opinions and try to put together something that he feels is right for everyone. And not everyone is always going to agree on his decision when it comes to that. But I mean, he's got to keep in mind marketing partners and fairness to all racers, what he's got to do to help the track. So all those things come into these decisions that he makes as far as, say, something like spec fuel or tire or whatever he's doing.
Does it ever hit you on Friday night when you're loading up and you're putting everything in the box to get ready to go to God knows where on this tour? Does it ever hit you like, holy shit, it is so hard to win a race on this tour? Like, do you ever just sort of realize the roster you're racing against, that this is like an Autumn Colors Classic every single week? Does that just blow your mind?
Well, it does. And I mean, if you're a driver that looks for, to run against the best, well, this is the series to do that in. I mean, there's a couple guys that did really well last year, pull off a couple wins. But there was a lot of different winners last year and a lot of different guys competing at every track. So, the whole thing that's exciting about this series is the versatility and the different tracks. Like, we're running 5 different tracks. That means 5 different setups, 5 different configurations. So I feel that there's a chance for multiple winners again this year, and that's what's exciting. So, you know, you have your favorite tracks that you feel you're going to do the best at. You have ones that you don't like that much, but I think that's what makes it exciting for the fans and the drivers. So, you know, that's what I like. I mean, there's some tracks that we're going to on Friday night and we're thinking, oh man, I just hope we have a good finish. And then other ones, you know, you're ready to go out there and lead every lap and hopefully win the race.
Now, I know that you have crew chief Scott McTeer in your shop right now, about 100 feet away.
Yeah.
Getting ready to start. So I'm going to wrap this up. Final question. What are the odds in your mind that a Sauble regular, because I know there's a lot of you on the tour, can take down both Sauble Speedway tour wins this year? Because that's a place where I talk to a lot of other guys, and there's a lot of lip chewing and hand wringing guys saying, I don't know what I need to go to Sauble with. I don't know if I can run at the front at Sauble. You know, I'm just hoping we can finish the race. So with everybody else having that idea about it, it kind of lends a lot of advantage to the Sauble regulars. So what do you think between you and Marvin and Tommy Gibbons and Stoddy, and if Tim Yellis gets a pro late model and whoever else steps up, what are the odds that a Sauble regular can take down both tour wins?
Well, I think there's a very good chance of that. You know, we run there regularly. You know, we have ability to test there because it's close to our home. You know, between myself and Tom, both got new McCall cars this year. Josh Stoddy's building a new Brian McDonald car, and that car Marvin's got, a pretty fast car. So, you know, it's not like we're just running like we used to with our limited late models up here when the pro late models came. You know, we're really running with the real stuff now, and we have as good a shot as anyone at winning that Sauble now. You know, Dale Shaw and Chenoweth, they are good at Sauble. They've ran the Beat the Heat here for years, and they've both been good up here. So I'm not saying it's a clinch that Sauble car is going to win at Sauble, but it's just like anywhere. I would say that a hometown car is a favorite to win at their home track.
So what you're saying is that these other guys better bring their hard hat and their lunch pail and get ready to go to work when they come to Sauble because the regulars will be ready for them, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're the 4 drivers that you named there from Sauble. We're jumping right into the APC series, and we're all running to win. So they're going to have to come here and try to take one from us for sure.
Now you hit it nail on the head when you said how expensive this stuff is, and it's not possible without sponsors. I understand that you just signed a new one, so go ahead and show a little bit of love to the people that are going to allow you to come back out and entertain us all season long.
Yeah, I've got a great core group of sponsors. A lot of them have been with me for a length of time, and then, like you said, signed a couple new ones for this year. I've had Prestige Contracting for years, Saugeen Shores Transmission, Keep Right, Ron Gibbons Construction, Baxi Marathon. They've been with me for years, and last year we signed the Boilermakers Union 128, which was a big deal for us, so we've got them on board. Colorworks joined last year. So those were my two new sponsors last year, and then this year, moving into this year, we got Lakeside Auto in Southampton. We got the Canadian Tire here out of Port Elgin, and I think that's it for right now. We're still working on more. Like we said, the APC series is not a poor man's sport, so we got to get as many as we can. But without those guys, I couldn't keep doing this. So I'd like to thank them all.
I know you're absurdly busy, my man. Thank you so much for taking the time. It's an honor anytime I get to sit down and chat with you, and I can't wait to see what you have ready for us for the 2016 APC series.
Oh, we'll be ready, Spencer. Thanks a lot.
That's the New Age Punisher, Jason Parker, ladies and gentlemen.